Welcome to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Ray, joined by the co-host Josh and Mike. Gentlemen,
Howdy, folks.
What's up?
this is a special podcast. It is our yearly Game of the Year review, where Josh and Mike are going to tell what their games of the year are that they enjoyed the most. And I'm going to sit here and complain about CD Projekt Red in the background.
That's right, folks. It's Ray in post. Can you hit me with the stock award show music here? Time. Been the year. It's been a real one, but we made it, folks, and it's time to give away the golden scripties. That's right.
The golden scripties.
We're here. It's Game of the Year. We're going to talk about them.
The coveted by all Unscripted Gaming, Josh and Mike, Games of the Year.
Before we get into that, though, let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077.
A brief preamble.
Yeah.
I know that our listeners love it when I say bad things about a game I haven't played and don't intend to play for a long time. But boy, that release is kind of funny. It's something.
I've been playing it. Now, I want to be clear. I did pre-order the PS4 version.
We're gonna talk about the roller coaster that Ray went on here to obtain Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, so Amazon had a sale. Okay, I'm going to use the word sale in air quotes to where it's like, hey, Cyberpunk 2077 for PS4 is $10 off. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been $10 off since they started offering it. I think I'm a fool because it's never gone back up in price.
Got him.
I think it's just for $50 as opposed to $60. That's strike one. Strike two.
And real quick, $50? Still too much for that game. Anyway, continue.
Oh, we'll get into that. Oh my goodness. So I got it for PS4 also because moved it to a new home, got a new TV. I want to play it on the 4K TV. Damn it. I think, and I have no reason to believe it's not going to run at least decently. It comes to my mind when I'm listening and reading some reviews that CD Projekt Red did not let people with early access review the console versions of the game. And this is where everyone goes, oh no!
Nor did they let them do their own screen capture.
No, they said you have to use marketing footage in all of your reviews. And you're like, oh fuck.
I love how they just it's really just like Steam. They just went full Steam hands. It's like, what's in there? Aurora Borealis?
Aurora Borealis!
1080p 60 frames on a PS4 console for a next-gen game at launch.
Yes. During your play session, you will see 60 frames of gameplay. We didn't say per second.
Eventually,
Shut up about
60
it.
frames will happen.
Yeah, 60 frames will happen. We didn't say per second. Shut up. Don't warn us.
Eventually, you'll get 60 frames. But some people on Twitter, I won't name the people because there's one guy whose YouTube channel, I won't name him. It's Mike blank blank or Michael blank blank. This guy's YouTube channel is just him bitching about every video game he ever touches. It's super toxic. He's like the worst type of like game reviewer. It's gross.
Yeah, Mike gamers are the worst.
They literally are. Can confirm.
I mean, this is not up for debate. He showed that there are issues with the PS4 version, such as the areas don't load. The game, when you're in the car, gets at a rock solid 15 frames per second when you're driving your car.
That's like a PowerPoint.
It's pretty bad. And also on the PS4, it is unable to upconvert the resolution past 720. The only way, okay, Digital Foundry did a video on it, and you should watch that. The only way it gets up above 720, as in it gets to 900p, is when you look at the sky, because there's nothing else to render, and it's like, all right, we can push it now.
Bro, the PS4 got the Wii U version.
everyone in the Digital Foundry review is like, man, the Switch version of this game is looking hot. And you know what? If this was the Switch version of the game, everyone would say, "Oh, okay, yeah, I get it. This is the sacrifice that you have to make." It's like, bro, no, there are people doing like, this is what CG Projekt Red showed off at E3 2018. They're like, this is running on PS4 hardware. And you're shaking your head like, yeah, that looks good.
All right.
Cool. Can't wait to play that. Then the game releases. It can't even load textures until 10 seconds go by.
So are you saying when they do the Switch port, it's just going to be isometric because that's the only way they're going to get a 3D effect on it?
It's just a different game.
Now, I'm not a particularly savvy person about the technological makings of a video game, but when I see some things, I know things. And I look at a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, another game that I didn't particularly enjoy. That game is it's a very pretty game. It looks very nice. It's a very technically polished product. There was also another thing we can talk about is a bunch of labor travesty. Let's just call it that went into that game.
The crunch.
And I feel like it never looked like Cyberpunk did. And I have a hard time, being like, oh no, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a simpler game to render and do compared to Cyberpunk. That's why Cyberpunk looks like this, and that's why it's okay. It's like, no, it's like, I don't believe they're that different of games, and it's insane that I saw the great Jason Schreier miss once.
I was just about to say
please
this.
Just miss once. He came out and said that it's like, it's cool that they got this game out, but AAA publishers need to start admitting that these if the launches are gonna be like this, their
games are in early access.
You have to understand it's an early access game, whether that's with patches, that's what you sign up for.
Early access isn't just for indies anymore. And it's been this way for a long time, to be honest, but I think we're seeing more and more that it's getting to be that way. And I think we'll probably get into this discussion a little bit more on the next proper Unscripted Gaming, just because I think there's more to talk about. But this is the product that we got after multiple months worth of delays and all the crunch, and this is still what was shipped to customers.
Josh, you bring up a really excellent point. If you don't mind, this originally was supposed to come out in April. And a lot of people on both Reddit and Twitter the first day when it came out said, well, of course the PS4 and Xbox One base versions look like this. This is supposed to be on next gen. And apparently on next gen it runs better. It runs at 1080p, 30 frames a second, which, yeah, that's acceptable until you get into a car. But remember, this was supposed to come out in April when none of those versions were options. So what did it look like? That was it just worse? Were they just like, oh no, it's not getting above 10 frames or something like that? I don't know. That wasn't an option. And I do want to clarify for real quick. I am playing the PC version because I canceled my PS4 version. And my PC version on my NVIDIA 2080 looks great. I sent these guys some screenshots. I'm like, hey, this game looks fucking great. And the story is great. It's a fun game on a powerful PC. Do not play it in any other capacity. I wouldn't even recommend it on PS5 or Xbox One if that's your options, honestly. That doesn't seem like the best way to experience the game. But to the crunch standards, a new story came out as of the recording of this, I think Friday or yesterday, to where CG Projekt Red was going to withhold older employees' bonuses based on whatever the Metacritic score was going to be. And management came out and said, okay, never mind. We understand. Management is taking this one on the chin. We're not withholding anyone's bonuses based on Metacritic score. Because the user rating for the consoles is at 2 right now. And I don't think you get a bonus on a 2 out of 10. Call that a hunch.
Yeah, at least, that was a good move for that, a good face-saving move, because it's... I feel like this is what, there are so many cases where you can point to, so many, places you can point to a lot in games where, I think I've said this countless times, where we're the workers of this company have been set up to fail on purpose by management. And especially like making a and it's so clear here with all these countless delays, the company like CD Projekt Red literally saying that we will not crunch on this game, and then crunching, and then like and to still after all of this, like this this is, it's a project failure. It's not a failure of like the workers to like, you know, every game is going to have bugs and technical issues. Like every game has that. But it's just I think there's so many telling things that this is just, they just don't know how to properly organize like their production process. Like, I mean, yeah, like again, I've said this a million times, but it's just like for a game to end up in this, this is the expected result, honestly. Like,
yeah,
if like I think if you went back a month ago and told us that the launch of Cyberpunk was a kind of a buggy nightmare for a lot of people, I don't think any of us would have been surprised.
No,
you know what I mean? Because all the preconditions were there. I mean,
yep.
And Josh, again to Josh's point, it's like you feel like you're just getting early access games when everyone says just wait for patches. Like, I bought this day one. There's a lot of bugs on the PC, even on the PC version, where like you can't progress in missions because there's things that happen, like the character that you're supposed to talk to T-poses and you can't talk to that character, or the character that you're supposed to talk to phases out of existence. Like, they're supposed to be standing next to you and they're like supposed to be in a bar, but they have phased beyond the bar into some walls, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? Reload your save file and hope for the best, or restart the entire game, or not the entire game, the entire file, or something like that. Like going back several seconds. It sucks. It doesn't feel great. And a lot of games are guilty of this. It feels bad. It makes me wonder how they pass certification on certain consoles, but I guess the answer to that is money. I don't know.
That's a very interesting
money.
question.
The answer is money. But that's really the answer. More money was changing hands to make sure that it came out on console. Sony doesn't care. Microsoft do not care. They're like, no, it's on you guys.
There was so much co-branding behind certain things, and especially with Sony and Microsoft both having launched new consoles, like they want to have a big tentpole release on those new consoles, so like they will do literally anything to get those through.
I mean, that's another kind of element of this too, was just like this was the date that could not be missed. Like,
yeah,
this was the you know, they could have,
you got to get it out by
a delay from
Christmas.
2018 to 2019 isn't too bad, but missing the launch window here that's like, you know, the new cards, like the new consoles. It's like, that is something that, you know, hell or high water, that game was going to come out whether it was ready or not. And clearly it wasn't, because everything we've said the entire time. Man, I hate being right all the time. It sucks.
Still works on PC. Like, I will not defend, but I will say the PC version is good to get. I'm having fun with it. It tells a very great story. When you finally get to the character that Keanu Reeves plays, I was like, this is excellent storytelling. I love this. This is great. Okay, last bit about Cyberpunk. I forget who made this hot take. It was somewhere on Twitter where they said, you know what? On the Game Awards, The Last of Us 2 won Best Game Direction. And someone said, yeah, games that are made under severe crunch should never win Best Game Direction. And I was like, it's a good point. I like that.
I mean, I agree. I think that is, you know, a great idea, because, you know, how good can your direction, you know, as a director, you know, like, you're not just making artistic decisions, you know, well, to be more accurate, part of your artistic decisions also include your production management decisions. It's the same way for like a movie director. It's the same, like, James Cameron is a great director, not only because he makes great movies, but because he knows how to like do the production such that it produces those results. And and I think that's part of the job. And I think that's absolutely something that should be taken into consideration when giving those awards, and not just being like, oh, look, they made this game look like a movie. Like, good for you.
Wow.
Everyone does that. But like, consider the production itself. Like,
Yeah. All right.
that's a director's job, is to direct the production.
Well, technically speaking, that's the producer's job. If we want to get down to
that is also true. But the director, to say that the director should be absolved, or
yeah, they still have to create a good work environment because they're one of the leaders.
They're one of the chief drivers of how that process functions, and if they do it the wrong way, then they should be punished for it.
Also, basically nothing of what we say like to critique of CD Projekt Red really matters. The game sold 8 million copies in day one, and in the first day it made back all of its marketing and development budget, like all of it. Right now they're just sitting on gravy. So good for them. I don't know. It's a good game. If don't buy it on console, please don't.
It's a good game with certain caveats.
Yeah, asterisk. The biggest of asterisks.
You know what's good though without caveats?
The Game Awards.
Our Game of the Year podcast happening starting now. Not a bit ago. It's now, for real now. It's happening. That half wasn't the Game of the Year. This is now.
Which one of you is going to start off first?
I'll go first.
All right.
How about that? Well, let me just real quick. I'm going to hit you with Josh, do you have any honorable mentions you want to get
Yes,
out
I have.
first?
I have 2 honorable mentions.
I also have 2.
Wow. These are mostly honorable mentions for the fact that they're not officially 2020 games. But they held a lot of significance in this 2020 year of gaming. For me, the first honorable mention is Beyond Light, the most recent Destiny expansion. I thought it added a lot to the game. I was very hesitant when the announcement came out that Destiny 2 was going to continue on for the next several millennia before any follow-up would happen.
Millennia.
Just,
goodness.
getting to the point where I was really worried. Like, I like Destiny 2 as a concept and as a game, but just it felt like so much of what has happened in the last few years since the launch wasn't really consequential, wasn't really that engaging, personally speaking. To have Beyond Light come out and really feel like we had a story that had actual consequences, actual weight, and actual stakes,
momentum,
and actually
progress.
set progress and setting something up for the future made me feel really positive on the outlook of Destiny 2 for the next several eons before Destiny 4 comes out. And then the second and top honorable mention is Among Us, an incredible little party game that kind of came from the ashes of obscurity to save 2020, and it's a really fun and engaging game for free to $5, with a lot of replay value and a lot of good streamable fun hijinks moments to be had. It may suck when Ray just blindly tries to get me thrown out the airlock regardless of what is happening, but other than that,
by the way,
Among Us has been a fantastic game. I love that this team has gotten the attention in this last year and, kind of scrap some plans to do a follow-up and really just focus in on fixing and improving the game that everybody's playing now. I think that's always one of those good things when a developer's like, we have something good. We're not going to try and split the player base for some arbitrary reason. We're just going to work on the thing we have. So those are my 2 honorable mentions for 2020.
All right. Well, my honorable mentions. I also have Among Us among my honorable mentions. Again, like you said, just some really great kind of, bluffing antics. I think it's really great when you're the imposter and then Ray, who is notorious for being like, oh, this person is sus, and just for no perceptible reason. It's really great to be the imposter and be like, "Ooh, I think Ray, I think you're right. I think I saw them do something weird," and just watch it all unfold. It's really great. sometimes raid gets you right on track, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know why everyone still goes along with what Ray says anytime.
I should be a politician.
Ray is a
you
true
probably
agent of
should.
chaos.
I
He
really
really
should be a
is.
politician.
You know, the day that Ray's an imposter is not going to be a pretty one.
It's happened before, and I'm really bad at it.
Oh well, never mind. So I've really enjoyed that. My other honorable mention is Star Wars Squadrons. I liked the game with the flying and the Star Wars. The sounds are all great. It kind of fulfills the dogfight, the Star Wars dogfighting fantasies where you're like, losing a missile inside an asteroid field. You hit the boost, you do the cool drift thing. You blow up the Star Destroyer. Just a cool. I like how it's a nice simple kind of package, but it's really good at what it does. So, that being said, those are our honorable mentions. I'm going to go ahead and share my number 5 game of the year.
Oh, here we go.
Give me that insert trumpet sound here. Number 5 goes to Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I have many questions as to why this is on anyone's list, but please go ahead.
Well, let me tell you, I can answer some of these questions for you. I have played Animal Crossing games in the past, and I've enjoyed them. But I would play them for a while and kind of fall off of them. And that has been the same case for me with this one. Like now that I've gotten my island to where I kind of like it, I'm visually just like very happy with like the layout of my island. I don't really want to do too much other like big projects for it, because I'm kind of happy with just the way I like it. I think it looks great. I like all my villagers. So I don't have like as much of a reason to check in every single day. But Sarah and I had a lot of fun building that island together. I liked visiting everybody. I liked doing all the stock market stuff. I think this is probably the Animal Crossing out of all the ones, all the previous titles that I've played the most of, and I think it's the one I've enjoyed the most. And I think it just kind of came at the right time for me this year. It was cool to just, y'all know the timing of the year and when it came out right around the end of March, early April. It was just a really great little escapist situation, and I really enjoy all the charm and the music. Just I think as an overall package, I really like that game. So, Ray, you do not have a game list right now, is that right?
I think I lost Ray's audio.
Oh, sorry about that. I was actually talking to the mic.
I
was talking to the mute because I'm actually typing out what the words are so I can, when Mike says add a trumpet sound, I'm like, maybe I should find one.
Oh no, sorry.
So I always feel kind of skeptical if I should give like award picks because I work in the industry making a game, so it feels like I might. And I never actually tell like the podcast what game it is I'm working on, but I'll just rattle off some games I really enjoyed in 2020. What games did I enjoy in 2020? Okay, Star Wars Squadrons, Among Us. No, I do parrot you, both of you, for both those titles. Also, Ghost of Tsushima is one of the better open world games I've played, and yeah, I think that's it so far in 2020.
Oh, there's another one. It'll come up later, but there's another one you're forgetting.
I probably am forgetting it. Yeah. All right, but Josh, it's your turn to switch off.
So for me, My number 5. Also, apologize for the lack of video. My camera decided to die on me, so I'll try and
Awesome.
I'll try and fix it while Mike is talking. But in the interim, I am going to go with my number 5 pick, which we've already heard this time, is Star Wars Squadrons.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's not much more to say than Mike already said. You know, it really does the thing that, you know, most of us who grew up watching Star Wars and playing video games wanted from the time we were wee baby children, just thinking about, like, I would love to play a game where I'm like in an X-wing just flying through space, blasting TIE fighters and doing the squadron thing. You know, this game has, it's one of those, it's very simple. It does what it says on the tin, but it does it so well. You know, it has gotten me putting flight sticks and HOTASes on my Amazon wish list to keep an eye for when those might become available and in the price again. And it's also got me going, like, you know, an Oculus Quest isn't that expensive. If I got that and a HOTAS, like, oh, buddy, talk about an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you know, it is. I don't want to sound like I'm saying something negative, but like saying it's like not anything special. But like it's just a very well made, you know, spaceflight sim game in the Star Wars universe with the sounds and the things that you wanted to do out of that game. And for that, it's my number 5.
Very good.
Before Mike goes again with his number 4, I just remember 2 games that I played the hell out of, that I also enjoyed in no particular order, and whether they're game of the year or not, I just enjoyed them. I really enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it passively angers me that Josh hasn't played it, because the only reason I ever played Final Fantasy VII was because I borrowed Josh's copy so long ago, so many years ago. I was like, Josh, you need to play this game. You absolutely need to play this game. I think the Game Awards gave it best musical score, and it absolutely deserves that. I still listen to the soundtrack every so often when I'm doing work. And another game that I really enjoyed that I can't believe I forgot I played this. I was like, I thought I played a Switch game a lot, to the point where Anna couldn't play any of the Switch. It was Hades. I played a lot of Hades. Okay, I don't need to get into how much Hades I played, because
We all know.
I think we've talked extensively about how much Hades we've played. I'm gonna dip out now and let Mike say his number 4.
It's been about
Okay,
2 hours or so?
1 or 2. 2 or 3.
Okay, well, my number 4 game of the year, number 4 on my game of the year list is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Oh.
And that is, again, this is kind of a year, I guess a lot of games where it's just like, yeah, I really just appreciate that it's just exactly what I wanted. And it's like Josh said, it does what it says on the tin. It's like, hey, this is a remake of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, and the physics of it feel great. The music is there, like the stages just where you remember them, the way they are there. Graphics are gorgeous. It's just like the Tony Hawk you remember. But it looks great.
It's what you felt like it looked like when you were playing that in the time at the time. Like, you're like, this is what I remember as a child seeing.
Yeah, and it's I mean, just that, like, the 2-minute score loop is still really fun. And I haven't played a ton of it lately because I've been pretty busy with some other games, but I think that's my number 4 for the year, and I've just really enjoyed my time with that game. Josh, give me your number 4.
My number 4 is Doom Eternal.
Ooh, oh, interesting.
So, Doom Eternal is the follow-up to the Doom 2016, reboot / still in the canon of the Doom series. Fantastic game. I really enjoyed this. It came out at the same time as Animal Crossing did, which was really good because when Animal Crossing came out, I lost access to the Switch because my wife stole it forever.
My
Basically,
wife.
it's her Switch now, which I sometimes get to borrow to play Hades. But Doom Eternal is a great game. You know, it carries on that really frenetic, fast-paced, solid frame rate game that was Doom 2016 and adds on to it. Sometimes it can be seem like they've added a little too much onto it. You know, they introduce a lot of systems and the systems do work well together, but at a certain point I feel like they've added a bit too much for a follow-up just because they're like, we gotta think of the next thing, and they kind of put a lot of ideas in and a lot of stuff didn't get cut as they were going along. Seriously, whoever put in the climbing mechanic and all the parkour is sus and needs to be ejected out the airlock. Just throwing it out there. I mean,
Can we just talk about the way Doomslayer climbs? It's like not how a human being would climb.
yep.
Like a squirrel.
It's it's hilarious to watch. Like, I'm glad that somebody did that animation. I just hate how much you had to use it and how much it happened. And I will say, you know, personally speaking, the way that I play games and what I'm looking for out of games at this point in my life, there were times where it felt like that Doom Eternal was hard for the sake of being hard. And I know that there is a pretty decent speedrunning community and people who want the Ultra Nightmare, like, I'm not going to die one single time in a full playthrough. But, like, for me, sometimes I'm like, I just want to play on, like, the medium difficulty, and I'm dying 100 times, and I have to kick it down to baby difficulty, and you're going to shame me for it, but also it's the only way that I'm going to experience the story of this overarching world and expanded universe of the Doomslayer that I'm oddly interested in. So please just let me see your very beautiful demonic hellscape of a game.
Nope, you did it this time, Josh. You've invited all the tryhards to talk about how you are not good enough. Get good. Get good. How dare you make use of the easy option when it's in the settings?
I just want to play the game and see all the blood drenched hell monsters everywhere. But yeah, Doom Eternal, great game, loved it. So yeah, number 4, Michael.
Beautiful. My number 3 game is actually, you can find plenty of footage of our number 3 game on this very channel. If you click on that little War is Heck button that you see on your screen, you'll be taken to a video series where Josh and I attempt to escape Verdansk in Call of Duty Warzone.
An excellent theme song to that feature as well.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, so Warzone's my number 3 game of the year. It is, you know, I want to go back in time to like our previous game of the year podcast where I'm probably like, you know, I like PUBG, but I just wish it worked. And then I pop up in a different window and be like, hey, don't worry, they're gonna Call of Duty-fy it in a couple of years. You'll be fine. Whoop. I don't, and that's all I have time to say. I'm like, oh, he'll figure out the virus stuff. Don't worry. But that was like my one big thing about like PUBG was just like I really appreciate it, and I'm sure it's better now, obviously, because it's gotten a lot of patches. But I appreciate it like that game mode finally having the Call of Duty polish with the gunplay and the sound and just the control. And you know, I've had a hell of just a super fun time playing that game. You know, I've had like it doesn't maybe not have quite as much of like the horror aspect that PUBG has. Like I feel that it just sometimes having 150 people on that map is it's good for the action, but sometimes it doesn't give you enough time for the tension to build up.
Those emergent gameplay moments.
Yeah, exactly. And but I think to make up for that, you know, I just really appreciate that mode Battle Royale just really getting the Call of Duty polish. I liked all the kind of different seasonal stuff and changes that they've had so far, and I've just really enjoyed it. I think it's just I think it's really fun, and I think it's just a really good, very well crafted Battle Royale game, and that's why it is my number 3.
All right. Number 3 for me, we actually, again, heard this one earlier, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. For me, I agree with a lot of the things that Mike said about it being a game that does what it says that you wanted it to do. It came out at a very, I think, important time of this year where that nostalgia effect really just helped kind of seal the deal of like, oh man, I need some comfort gaming right now. I think that the equalization of the challenges between Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 was a good to kind of add a little bit extra to those early maps. But also, I think that it's a really easy game to not only, like, I feel like it is a game I'm constantly getting better at. Every time I go and I do a run or I watch somebody play online, I then get an idea of a way that I can do something different, or adding a new trick, making my skater better, making my combos better, constantly progressing in the game. And it's one of those too where you can just leave it installed on your computer, leave it for a while, come back 6 months later, hop in, do a few runs, shake the cobwebs off, hit some sick combos, and then drop it again, come back. Not really something you do with a game like Doom Eternal. That's a commitment. That's not something where you're just like, oh, I'm going to pick it up and do a couple runs for 20 minutes and I'm going to get out. Like, there's something really that I appreciate of that polish game of constant progression and being able to pick up and drop off at any time and come back to when I see fit, or when I'm just like, I could hit a couple of kick flips in schoolyard today, so let's just fire it up and make that happen. So, solid game. Can't be more happy with the job that they did, especially given some of the work on previous Tony Hawk releases in the last few years, both a remake and the new one. So, really happy. Hope we get more of that in the future. So yeah, that's my number 3.
Honestly, it's basically on my list just because the opening video set to Guerrilla Radio is so good. It's a great video. I watch it every time, the whole thing, every time I start up the game.
Yeah, you never skip that
Nope,
scene.
it's so good. It's an intro cinematic so good you will never skip it. That's why it's on my list.
Yep.
I am dead serious.
Michael, number 2.
Number 2 for me. I'm not here to start any fights or anything about what technically counts as a 2020 game.
If you say Destiny one more goddamn time, you can't have Destiny win 5 goddamn years in a row.
It's not winning. It's number 2.
Oh my god!
Checkmate, folks. You heard it.
Real quick,
number
is
2,
Destiny? No, before you start, is Destiny 2 on every single one of your lists since we've been doing this?
It is. That's why I'm pissed.
I'm pretty sure it was an honorable mention last year.
Nope. Go check.
Okay, all right.
I wasn't on last year's pod, so I can't confirm or deny this. But
go play back the tape.
Oh no, that's 2018 GTO. It wasn't even on my 28. It wasn't even on my 2018 game of the year.
Okay.
It was an honorable mention. It was an honorable mention in 2018.
It can't be an honorable mention here.
So it might not have been a. No, it can't be actually, because I'm gonna explain why.
Anyway, okay, let him have it. Let him have it.
It's a big old W for Mike there.
This is a really good freeze frame of my face there for a second.
So anyways, Destiny 2, specifically, I'm going to call out the Season of Arrivals and Beyond Light releases, and experiences as being some of. I think this has been a big year for Destiny. There's a lot of big changes that have happened the course of this year. As you know, we've kind of said with like the sunsetting of locations and some systems like that. This almost kind of represents like the soft launch for Destiny 3. And you know, it's certainly an ongoing situation, and as the Destiny guy, I will always be playing it probably forever because that's the way I am. And I will always keep you guys posted on it. But I just really specifically wanted to call out Destiny this year because, like Josh said, I think this year, especially particularly, all throughout this year, but I think very strongly starting with the season of Arrivals, when the pyramid ships descended on the solar system that were teased at the end of the original vanilla Destiny 2 campaign. They finally came into the solar system, and the game has completely changed since then because of the events that transpired. And it was from that season on that they've really been, I've said this before, but they've really been starting to cash the big checks that they've gotten and had from like the writing and the lore. Like their final, like I still think some of my favorite story work and story bits in the in Beyond Light and Arrivals are in the lore entries, but they are, and just because they have more room to explore that stuff there. Like there's if anybody wants an interesting lore post about how the raid relates to Descartes, I can share it with you because it's a great read. It's really fun. But they've been really bringing like that lore. They've been letting it do so much more work for them, and it makes the game a way more interesting place. Like, not that the lore wasn't ever really critical to the past raids, but I was, as was mentioned, I was off doing the raid last time we did a podcast, and the way they bring the story to bear within the Deepstone Crypt raid, it is so much more upfront than it ever was. I feel like in basically any other Destiny raid except for maybe Last Wish. And since that raid came out, it's introduced a whole entire new character and new kind of ongoing plot line into the whole world. Like, it has opened up this whole new area of Europa. Like, they've done so much more, I think, to make like Josh said, to bring the progress, like to make the plot feel like it is constantly moving forward. And again, I've really enjoyed gameplay wise. I think the new raid is an absolute blast. I think it's really great. I love the new subclasses. I think honestly, one of the reasons, I think if I had to point to one specific thing that got Destiny once again up on my list this high, was I feel like in the past couple of expansions, some of the exotics have just been okay. And there aren't a ton of new ones, but I feel like all of them have really transformed like the way I play the game. The first time I used them, I was like, I like out loud, I was like, whoa, this is this is a crazy gun. This is super cool. And Beyond Light has had a lot of like those cool wow moments for me. And I think that is why I am putting Destiny 2 in my number 2 spot. Mic drop.
Got it. Ray, you have so many. I can tell you have so many feelings about this.
It's just on his list every year.
I mean,
well, then, yeah, when they stop making Destiny, I'll take it off. How about that?
Oh no!
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about having a roadmap of Destiny 2 until the inevitable heat death of the universe, is that there's always going to be more content to talk about in that year.
I don't care that much, but I do want to note this is the equivalent of someone putting World of Warcraft constantly on their Game of the Year list.
Well, then perhaps
that's difference.
Awkward, because speaking of my game number 2,
to be on my top 5 list, perhaps there should have been 5 5 games that I liked all more than playing Destiny 2 this year. And that's just not the case. And it's not like the game. It's not like this. It's the same game from last year. It's a different game now. It's entirely. It's a transformative. It's the ship of Theseus. When does the 2019 game become a 2020 game?
I'm not having this debate.
You can't answer that question. So it's
Josh, you should go next.
Debate anyway.
Josh, you better go.
So my game number 2, again, one we've already heard of today. For me, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone. That makes my number 2. I agree again a lot with what Mike said about the experience of PUBG, getting that Call of Duty experience. And I'll add one extra layer on that is like when I first heard that Call of Duty was going to get its own battle royale mode, I was just like, oh god, they're just trying to jump on the bandwagon. There's no way that Call of Duty is going to do anything that unique or that special to the format that will make me want to play it more than PUBG or make me want to play it more than Apex. But boy howdy, I find myself sitting and thinking a lot of like, I could play some Warzone right now. Pretty much I sit down and I'm like, what am I gonna play? I'm gonna play Call of Duty. It is an incredible experience. I really think that the little bits that they add on to that just standard battle royale motif just enhance the experience so much that make it very replayable. I think you have a lot of those times where I'm walking around and I'm going to gear up and then immediately die like you do in PUBG, but you also have just as many times where you get down, you start gearing up, and then you're in action right away. You decided to drop into the superstore and you are in a firefight for the first, almost the first duration of the first circle, because there are a lot of people around you. You're constantly gearing up. You're hiding because somebody's around you that's got a big gun that just killed 3 people and they're the kill leader and they've got the little crown and it's right there and you're gonna hide and try and snipe them. It was one of those things I wasn't expecting when I bought Call of Duty to be spending my time to the point where I almost play none of the regular multiplayer now, solely playing the Warzone experience. So it's incredibly engaging. It's a lot of fun. I play it all the time, and it has enough in it, despite being one single map in the Call of Duty universe, that just keeps me coming back over and over again, more than anything else right now. With that leaves our number ones, and just based on the 4 we've done so far, Mike, I believe that you and I have the same number 1 for this year.
I would place cash money as a bet on it.
I also think that is the same bet. I think it's kind of weird that you had Destiny 2 in your honorable mentions and as your number 1 game, and I had it as my number 2 and number 1. That is pretty interesting that happened, but
I mean, I'm always gonna.
It's 2020. It's a strange year. 2020 bingo.
Mike. Given the chance to piss off Ray, I'm always gonna take that shot.
I don't care if Destiny is an honorable mention because that's where it belongs.
I'm just gonna start next year. It's just gonna be each individual season of Destiny. I'm gonna count as a different game. It's 2020 release.
I thought that's what you're doing. I could have sworn that's exactly what you were doing.
As a courtesy, I combined the biggest expansion and the last season before it as a courtesy, but now I'll just consider them all individual releases.
Jesus, no.
Number 5. Destiny
you mean number
2.
1?
Number 4. Destiny 2.
Oh God.
Okay. Joking aside, I think Josh and I's number 1 game is Hades.
Correct.
Yeah, it's Hades.
Congratulations, Hades. You have gotten the golden scripty for.
Is this the first year we've had a unanimous number 1 before we talk about Hades a little bit?
You guys were close in 2017, but neither of you could agree on what number 1 was, Breath of the Wild or It was one other game. Doesn't matter. I thought it should
Is
have
it
been Breath of the Wild.
Nier?
Yes, you gave Nier the number one,
Oh,
and
man. Maybe I
Josh
should go
gave it Breath
back.
of the Wild.
Maybe retroactively, I would have gone back and said Breath of the Wild.
A revisit.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Nier is so good though. but-
Nier is. I'm not gonna besmirch you and say Nier doesn't deserve it, but
No, it does.
I don't
Nier,
know.
That's tough because like Nier does deserve it, but oh man, Breath of the Wild. Just the more I think about that game, the more I'm just like,
It is
man,
one of the best.
they
games
really
ever made,
just
yeah.
they really just made a perfect game, and that's just kind of it. It's
Yeah.
just, they just went out there and did that.
I didn't expect this W with my evening one, but here we are.
I didn't expect to be in Hyrule Field being like, wow, look at the size. of
There was the
I had
guy
to go
that
to a
came in
new
and said
tower
like,
to
"Yo,
calculate
should we
the
make
size
this
of
game
this
bad?"
town.
And they said no, and they kicked him out. And like they did that, and nobody does that.
It's great.
Guys, what if we just made a good game? What? I mean, okay, if you say so.
Yeah, I guess if you really want to.
I mean, we could try it and put it out there, and then like if they don't like it, we'll make a bad game next year. We can do that.
And then they made Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Oh!
Oh, okay. No, that's just rude.
Got him.
That's rude. But let's talk about Hades.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's my game of the year. I honestly, like, from having played through the story, I had a pretty good feeling it was going to be my game of the year then. And it, I think just from the combat that is just super duper fun, you know, all the great cast of characters that have, you know, there's tons of like voice and writing in the game that is all like they just do such a great job with all of those characters, from the deities to all the residents of the underworld. I mean, it's just all comes together in just like a perfect package, and Hades is so good, guys. I love it.
Yeah, it's hard to find something that we haven't already said in glowing terms throughout the time we have been playing this game, and I know we're all kind of at various stages of the playthrough and where we are in continuing to play the game, but it's just every time you pick up that game, you're going to experience something different, whether or not that's new dialogue, a different room layout, you know, it's just the way you align boons and hammers to make that particular run with that weapon something you've not experienced before.
Yeah,
it is different every time in a mostly positive way, and even if you have a bad run, you're going to experience some little quip or some little part of the story that you're like, huh, okay, that, you know, I got something out of that run that made it worth it. And I think that is really hard to do a roguelike where it feels like every run is unique and, you know, impactful in some way. You know, I think
it's like you're always making some kind of linear progression, whether you're actually just getting farther to the surface or you're getting some more plot, which can be just as good as a reward because the characters like are so great. Like they do such a good job. Like before you even get to some like the late game kind of revelations of it, like you can kind of tell with like the writing and the way Hades and Zagreus talk to each other that they are really mad at each other, but they don't hate each other. Like that Hades is not, he doesn't hate Zagreus. He doesn't want to destroy Zagreus. He just like it's like he loves him and cares for him. He just wishes he wasn't so dumb and stupid.
He wishes he would just understand the words that I'm saying and don't question it any further than that.
Yeah, and they do such a good and then ultimately like the conclusions of like kind of the dramatic conclusion of the game is those characters saying those things that have been present throughout the writing and the voice work the entire time. It's just at the end they just come out and say it. And that's great. Like I think it's, yeah, I think one thing I really appreciate about the plot and story in Hades is that ultimately it's not a super duper complicated or like incredibly intricate like tangled web of intrigue. It's a pretty simple story, but it's just they executed on it so well because the voice work is great. The writing is short and sweet, but they every single line is so like they do such a good job of not wasting anything, and not just to say they're just like brutally efficient, but they know how to use use the little bits of dialogue you're getting here and there to always make good, interesting progress.
Yeah, you're only gonna get like 2 or 3 lines from Poseidon here as he gives you a boon, but like you're actually gonna get a decent amount of information in that moment, or even just little things like the quips of, okay, I've done a trial of the gods, and I'm gonna have Ares mad at me, but I also have his call, so I'm gonna use it while he's trying to punish me, and Zagreus kind of like, awkward, like just little things like that.
The fact that they thought about those things and like would record voice lines for those interactions is wild. Like it's super cool. Like I'm trying to think of another example. Gosh, I can't think of a good one off the top of my head really quickly, but
Hades always, whenever you get to the spoiler alert, the end boss is actually Hades himself. But whenever you get to Hades and you use one of the god boons as your like call action, he always has a fun little quip about it, like, "How dare you send Aphrodite at me, that harlot," or something like that. It's like, whoa, dude. Or if you use the Zeus one, he just gets pissed. He's like, "Oh, you bring Zeus's boon into my domain," or something. That just fun little lines that keep
I do like the one of the times when you meet Hades with the spear, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you like my old spear? Hope it's doing well for you. I've got a bigger one now, so fuck you."
My favorite is when he brings the gun. Because I love the gun. You bring the gun. He's like, "What are you doing with that thing?" Like everyone is offended whenever you pick the gun for the first time.
Because like Ares, when he sees it, he's like, "Yo, what the fuck is that? Oh my god, yo!"
I could get everybody killing each other so good with that thing.
Yeah, Ares is the only one not offended. He's just like has a erection. You bring the gun. He's like, oh, child, what you got over there?
Yeah, like I think.
Yo, how much murder could you do with that?
Other things that I think put Hades at my number one. All the music whips. Like especially in Elysium when it's like kind of does the atmospheric version of the song, and then when you get to the Theseus and the bullfight, like the guitar kicks in and it goes like full like Doom soundtrack level. You're like, okay, this is so good.
I thought about two things that they do that also made me just like go like, man, that's really good. The stranger in Elysium, he never says his name, and then finally, like, if you just happen to open up the book and scroll and see his entry, it has his name, and he's like, oh, that's his name. And he's just like, okay, like they're just like, he never found it out, and he's just reading his book and like, oh, that's that dude's name, and then they kind of start talking from then. And then there was one point where very late into playing, I learned about the romance, and I'm trying to trigger Meg to be in the house so I can, slide into her DMs. So I basically start a run and, immediately try and get myself killed. And then he walks in and Zagreus walks into the house. He's like, I just forgot something. And everybody else is like cackling like, boy, you've been getting a lot further than this. What the fuck happened?
That's so funny.
That's a negative I want to say about the game. Okay, so there's obviously a lot of randomness when it comes to like a run-based roguelike game, but man, I think I told you guys before, I did so many runs of that game and I never got to do the romance option for Meg because it never just worked. It never just happened. There were like whole runs you do, and Meg's just not in the house, or you can't talk to her. She's right there. You can't talk to her. It's like, oh.
Now I will
You
say
giving her goodies.
So I did find out one thing, that if she is in a conversation with somebody, if anybody's in a conversation with someone and you can't give them a gift right then, if you go to your room and then come back, they will go to their normal position and then you can give them a gift.
Sometimes I tried. That does not always work.
I will say that is a negative. I do take some marks off that, but generally speaking, like, yes, I want to experience that storyline, but that's not really why I'm there. So I can't fault it too much.
Since we opened this podcast talking about like CDPR and Crunch, I want to give just a huge shout out, since you both picked it as your games of the year, to Supergiant Games.
Yes.
It's a team of about 16 to 20 people, and they have an incredible work culture where they released an article about a week ago where they said, no, we don't crunch people. We actually force them to take mandatory vacations. And it's like, oh, look, we released this game by putting it in early access for a year, having the community iron out the kinks and tell us how to make it better. Then we go release, then we go live. We go live on Steam and Switch and sell over 1 million copies for about 15.
And like early access, and that's another thing, is that like this is like the early access success story, because they just part of like being in early access is almost like just being honest about being honest with yourself and your crew and your customers about like what the nature of the product.
Like the conversation around bugs and errors and inconsistencies in the game changes with that simple framework of being early access or being like released. And I think that being honest about it just shifts the frame of everybody who's playing that game. Like, I'm not going to play an early access game. I typically don't. I don't want to spend my money on that. But for those who do and want to be part of that early adoption experience and shape that game, that is such an incredible experience. If I had gotten, and I don't know the state of Hades when it was first launched into early access, but like, I'm sure I would have had a lot more problem with that game had I played it then. But now that I'm playing it as the actual full 1.0 release, the fact that all that stuff has been worked out by people who've been knocking on it for a year, that's incredible. I will say I used to knock early access, and now I'm just more like, honestly, it's something more people should probably do. I'm not probably going to participate in most of that, but I think it does provide valuable feedback for developers to get the games where they need to be. Yeah.
It's almost like at this point, it's going early access is almost just like an honesty conversation. It's like, are you going to, with the way some of these things launch, it's like, is this just, it's like, every game is almost early access in a weird way. It's just whether or not you want to plan to do that from the start or what. Like, it's definitely something we're going to see, I think, change more and more over this generation. I guess a couple final things I wanted to say about Hades. Again, why I think it's at the top of my list. As far I've played a couple of different run-based games. Like, I really like Slay the Spire, A Nuclear Throne are two of my kind of go-tos. And I think one thing Hades does a lot better than either of those two games is encourage you to get out of your rut. Like in Slay the Spire, I have my character I go for, I have the cards I go for, like I have my build, and basically every time I try to play the game, I'm trying to find the best way I can get back to exactly what I like. And I just have a very narrow focus of what I want to do, and I feel like that's how I play that game. And in Hades, a lot of time, like they do, even just as something as like, oh hey, you'll get more darkness and currency if you use that weapon, and I'm like, oh well, let me try that. Like, I don't really like the I don't know, the spear, so let me try it. And then I get a couple of I get a boon I didn't exactly want or think I was looking for, But it's just like 2 and 2 come together. Like you get a little lucky, and then all of a sudden, like I have some crazy build where I'm dashing around the entire room, and I don't even have to throw my spear because I can clear entire rooms just hitting the dash button. And just the way it encourages you to really try different things, and I think it's so good at that, and it helps that I think all the weapons on a base are fun, but like some of my quickest and most fun like builds have been with the bow, which is a weapon that I really I would never say was my favorite weapon, but I have just had just because I got the right boons, I've had some super duper fun and incredibly powerful builds come together with it, just because the game has been really good about encouraging me to try different approaches, and it rewards you for it with showing you the things that you can do with it. And then one final thing. I think one of my favorite moments of games this year was, I think, probably the first time you beat Hades. There's a lot of game after that. I still need you to play do the upper management version of the Hades fight just to see how it changes, because it's a lot harder and it's really fun, and you should try it. I just want to hear your thoughts.
I suspect bullshit.
So you know how the first one had a secret second phase?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it there.
But what if he has a fifth phase? I don't know.
Okay, maybe subtract 2 from that, and then yeah.
The second phase, the first time I played the game, I'm like, all right, Hades wasn't that bad. Why are you getting back up? No, get down. Oh, god damn it!
Yeah, just like, I mean, from that moment, but like when you finally get the first kill, and you're just like, yes, let's go, yeah.
I haven't
so
been
good.
that hype in a long time.
Oh my god, it's so good. And then you just get this like gorgeous scenery. You get this incredible like. I didn't think that a single music cue was going to be like one of my favorite moments of the year. I mean, honestly, it's I guess I'm a sucker for that, because one of the reasons why like Destiny was so high on my list was because a really great music cue that comes up during the raid. And I guess I'm a sucker for good music cues at after stressful situations. Interesting. And I just thought that was it was just it's so cool that like it was really, I thought, great that they leaned on the music, just that music, the gorgeous art and scenery, because then you get to see the like Persephone's garden, you get to talk to her, like being able to lean on like just the execution of your art, music, and a little bit of voiceover and writing as like the reward for getting your first clear against Hades. Mm-hmm. Like you get some other kind of mechanical stuff after that too, but like having that be the immediate reward is really cool, and it takes a lot of guts to lean so heavily on that, but I think it works so well. And man, this is such a good game. It's just so what a joy. I loved Hades. It was absolutely.
Some would say it's game of the year.
Some would say
it would deserve the golden scripty.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's earned.
And I think that's all I got to say.
Yeah. So we did it. That is 2020 in the books, in the bag. Get it done. We have a unanimous decision. I'm sure if Ray were putting together a list, it would be a 3-way unanimous decision. So maybe, I don't know.
That's a good. I didn't even give that much thought. That's a good question.
But you know where you can go if you want to see our continuing 3-way content?
What?
Where?
Unscriptedgaming.com.
Where can I go?
Unscriptedgaming.com will get you everywhere you need to go. You can follow us on Facebook at Unscripted Game podcast. Get us on Twitter at unscript_gaming. You can get us on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/unscripted-gaming. We are on all the podcatchers, Google, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. Get us in your ears. Get us on YouTube. Get us on your eyeballs. Thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh.
My name is Mike.
My name is Ray.
Peace.